They go in and say, let's log in or reset password. They get your one-time token. They log in. They transfer all of your accounts because, like I said, it's unregulated. There's no safety measures typically in place. Welcome to Life of a Ciso. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a Ciso and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a Ciso. Welcome to one of my favorite times each week where I get to sit down with you and talk about my favorite topic, being a world-class Chief Information Security Officer. I'm so excited to have you with me. If you are a frequent listener, welcome back. It's so excited to see more and more people commenting and following this show. My intent is to help and change the world, and it starts with each one of you. So thank you. Thank you so much. If there's topics or things you'd like me to cover, just post it below, or you can always email me. I'm always open and available at ecole@secure-anchor.com. And if this is your first time, welcome. Where have you been? Right? What are you waiting for? Right? Let's go. Right? It's time to be world class. If you haven't picked up your copy of Cybercrisis, make sure you do that. Depending on when you're listening to this, I know it's going to sound funny, but there's a little joke and a little seriousness in here. Nothing says I care about you, happy holidays, happy new year, or happy birthday than actually protecting somebody you care about. And I know some of you might laugh, and there's a little humor in that. But on the other hand, there's a lot of seriousness. What greater gift to give a family member, a friend, or somebody you care about than the gift of protection, the gift of safety? I don't know about you, but giving somebody the gift so they don't get scammed out of 100 million, 50 million, 1 million, or even 500K, depending on their net worth. That's what this book does. It teaches you. It's not a technical book, right? I got a few comments. It's funny. The few negative stars I've gotten on Amazon and others, to me, aren't negative at all. They all go in and go, I love Eric, but his book is all strategy. It's all high level. It's all things that anybody in any business and any individual can implement and put in place. I want a lot more technical steps that can be done. And I laugh. I'm going, that's Network Security Bible, right? That's Advanced Persistent Threat. That's my other books, right? This book was really meant to be a book for non-technical business, parents, teachers, anybody who can understand what those dangers are and protect them. And by the way, I'm seeing this increase a lot more on a regular basis. It's almost becoming daily. And earlier this week, we actually had 3 calls in one day where we're seeing businesses and individuals being scammed. It ranges from closing on houses. As you know, a lot of people are buying houses now. I can't understand the whole correlation with COVID. It still boggles my mind on it, but housing prices are through the roof. Everyone's buying, and they're so quick and so rushed that they just trust and believe email. And closing companies that are typically smaller businesses are having their mail servers compromised, and they're getting emails to potential buyers, basically giving them false bank accounts or incorrect bank accounts to transfer the money or the deposit or to the mortgage company. And then by the time they show up to closing, they realize what happened. But typically, if it's been more than 48 hours, the money is long gone and the individual is out all that money. So yes, I've seen the ranges boggling. And in some cases, it's heartbreaking. In all cases, it is, because this is hard-earned money, or this is inheritance that people are going to buy their dream homes, and it's taken from them because of a few very, very common exploitation techniques that, if you or your family are aware of, can actually be protected. We're also seeing a lot with older folks. The number one demographic that's targeted by cyber criminals are people over 65. Why? They didn't grow up with computers. They tend to want to stretch out their money. They tend to have a lot of money in savings, and they tend to be constantly diversifying their portfolio. So they're a great target. And the new one that we're seeing come up over and over again are crypto wallets and crypto investments, because technically they're not backed, they're not regulated, and most people protect them with a one-time password. Well, we're seeing a lot of SIM attacks where they're actually breaking in, taking over your phone anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, very often doing it in the middle of the night. So they're actually redirecting your SIM to a new device. They go in and say, let's log in or reset password. They get your one-time token. They log in. They transfer all of your accounts because, like I said, it's unregulated. There's no safety measures typically in place. You wake up the next day, you check, and the money is gone. So these are real threats that are out there, and that's exactly what I did with Cyber Crisis. So it's a quick, nice read, and once again, nothing's more important than protecting yourself and your family. Even though right now I am focused on building world-class CISOs, I believe my purpose for being on this planet is to make cyberspace a safe place to live, work, and raise a family. And that's why I'm pushing the book and want to protect you and your family, because the threat is real. And the good news is, with some basic steps and understanding and knowledge, you can absolutely protect yourself. The unfortunate part is many people just don't realize and understand the threats. What I want to focus on today in this episode is you are a CISO. Right now, today, you have CISO qualities within you, and you are a CISO today, not down the road in the future at some future point in time. Right now, today, I want you to own that you are a CISO. And the reason I bring this up is this has been a theme with my coaching over the last couple of days. I actually had my group coaching in the CISO certification yesterday. Awesome call. If you want to be a world class, if you want to commit, if you want to take yourself to that next level, then I highly recommend getting on a call and finding out about our CISO cert, or just signing up. You get 40 hours of knowledge transfer. You get 6 months of coaching with me. And many people say that alone is worth the price of admission. And then you get a private peer group where you can actually build up a network or a mastermind of other like-minded people. So doing those coaching calls, and I'm noticing this theme that keeps coming up. When I'm talking to each person over and over again, I'm hearing things like, in 6 months, I'm going to apply for a position in the CISO. Or in 9 months, I'm going to start my vCISO business. Or September, I set a date, Eric, I'm proud. In September of next year, I'm going to do X. And I smile, and great. It's great that you have an objective and a time frame. But then I ask a simple question. Why 6 months? Why 9 months? Why September? Why not make 6 months 3 months? Why not make 9 months 4 months? Why not make September, June, or March? What is it about where you are, or your positioning, or your mindset, that you don't think you can do it today? And I often get back various answers, but almost all of them are aligned with, well, there's gaps in my knowledge, and there's foundational things I need to learn, or I need to go in and take care of these things or do those things before I'm going to be ready to really do that. And then I say, okay, so what's your plan? What are you actually going to go in and do that's going to get you ready? Because I find a lot of people like going in and saying, oh yeah, in 6 months I'm going to do X, but they don't do anything different over the 6 months. Now, if you come back and you tell me, Eric, I have a reading list of 8 books that I'm going to focus on because I know the business side is a little weak, and I'm going to go through your program, and I'm going to do 1 module every 4 days, and I'm going to go in the grouping, and I'm going to do all those things. Okay, maybe there's some logic to that, right? And that's a great plan as long as you execute and follow through. But my real question is this. If there's a huge need today in the industry, and you can help solve that problem, why are you waiting 6 months? Why not do the exact same thing that you said where you're going to go in and you're going to read those books and you're going to go through the Ciso cert and all that's great. And you're going to get a mentor. But why not do that while you are following your dreams or your vision or your purpose? Why not do that as you're serving clients as a vCISO? Or why not do that while you're a CISO at an entity? Why are you waiting? Why are you putting off the inevitable? And what I'm reminded of, and you could look these up, but I love the various quotes of Michelangelo, who was a sculptor, and probably one of his most well-known is the statue of David. And when they're asked, how did you take this slab of marble and actually create David? Like, how did you do that? It's a pretty remarkable thing. And his answers to me are amazing. He goes, the statue of David was always in that marble. I just removed the excess marble. I basically just took away the unnecessary pieces to reveal the statue that was already in the marble, right? And it's an amazing perspective of how we look at things, because he didn't create David out of that. He just removed unnecessary pieces so the rest of the world could see what he already saw. When he looked at that block of marble before he got started, everyone else saw a block of marble. He saw the statue of David. So he just had to go in and remove those pieces so everyone else could see what he could see. And I bring, all right, nothing like sneezing, but it's all good, right? It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And I know when I'm in person nowadays, everyone freaks out, COVID, right? But don't worry, we're virtual. We're virtual. We're good. There's no issues there. So I love that about David, because he, as a sculptor, revealed what was inside that marble. And I'm emphasizing this because that's your life. You're the sculptor. There's a CISO inside of you. Now, the rest of the world might not see it yet because you haven't had a CISO position. And the rest of the world might not see it yet because you don't talk about that component of your expertise. And the rest of the world might not see it because your resume or CV is all technical. Your job as the sculptor is to remove those unnecessary pieces so the world can see the CISO that's inside of you today, not in 6 months. Now, yes, in 6 months, you're going to be a better CISO than you are today. Right? In 6 months, you're going to have more knowledge and information, but that doesn't mean you need to wait 6, 9, or 12 months. Own it and embrace it today. I have comments from folks going, Eric, I don't know what's happened, but over the last couple of weeks, I've noticed the number of inquiries for CISO positions has increased exponentially. The number of phone calls and emails and everything just went off the hook, and I didn't really change anything else. Now, a couple factors there. When I talk to those people and I go, so you didn't change anything? And they go, oh, well, I made some tweaks and adjustments to my CV, but they were minor, so that would have nothing to do with it. First and foremost, what you think is minor could be major. Remember, the sole purpose of a CV and a resume is one thing: to get the interview. That's it. And many of these companies go through filtering where non-technical people or even programs just do various keyword searching. So first and foremost, don't underestimate a small tweak. Changing a couple of words, adding the right words, removing distractors are going to be very, very important. So don't underestimate that. But on the other front, I do agree that many, many companies are sort of coming out of the pandemic, starting to wake up and recognize that cybersecurity is one of the most important things to their company. That they've essentially have either ignored it or put it on the back burner, and they need to go in and take this very seriously. So we are seeing in our clients with both Ciso and vCISO services a big, big increase. So why are you waiting? Because remember, the companies that are looking for a Ciso position, and when I say Ciso, vCISO, I'm using that interchangeably there, that are looking for a Ciso position are not going to be the same companies that will be looking for a Ciso position in June or July. So it's not like if you try now, you're going to blow the opportunity, right? It's going to be a different opportunity, right? It's not going to be the same company. So there's really no harm, no foul. So I really, really embrace, I know it's easy and safe. And if there's certain reasons, family or others, I completely understand. But I just want to encourage you, why 6, 9, or 12 months? Why not today? Why not embrace the opportunity today? Why not use this as a learning opportunity? If you put your resume and CV out now to 20 jobs and you get no responses, that means one simple thing. Your resume and CV is not focused on the right areas. It's too technical. Now, if you're telling me that you're going to be ready in June to start looking for a Ciso job, but your resume is bad and it's going to take 6 weeks to figure that out and tune it, why not do that in January, February? Why not fix it so when you get to June, you're getting a 90% callback rate on your resume? Why not do that work now? Right? So engage early. Remember, you have Ciso skills. I was talking to one person and she was, Eric, I'm a security engineer. I work in security engineer. She's basically a world-class security engineer. If you look at the things she's done and where she's worked, I mean, clearly world-class security engineer. And she's like, I don't have those Ciso skills. I need to get those Ciso skills. So I say, okay, let me know what are the skills that a Ciso would need. I'm like, just start giving them to me. So we started brainstorming, and I said, okay, so one of the things a Ciso would need is to be able to build out strategy for an organization, build out a security strategy or plan of attack. And she said, yes. I said, great. Have you ever done that? In your career, have you ever had to work on or put together a strategy? And she said, yes. I said, great. Next, what is a quality of a Ciso? They need to have leadership. They need to be able to lead a team. I said, have you ever led a team? Have you ever had people that reported to you, even if it was temporary for a project, and you were team lead and responsible for running something across the goal line? And she said, absolutely. I said, great. We're 2 for 2. And I said, okay, what's another skill of a Ciso? And they say, well, they have to be able to understand how to solve business problems. I said, great. Have you ever done that? Have you ever had to work with a business unit or somebody who wasn't technical and had to help them solve business problems? She said, yes. I said, look at the scoreboard. You're 3 for 3. I said, that sounds like you have Ciso, right? And I said, do we need to keep going or are you good, right? Because I know we could have done 5, 7, or 10. And even if we got to the point, and just so we're clear here when you do this exercise yourself, if we got to the point where there were a few she didn't do, so let's say 7 out of 10, that's awesome. There's no perfect Ciso, right? You're always going to have strengths and weaknesses, so that's not a bad thing. But the point is, I can guarantee if you do this, it's never going to be 0 out of 5 or 0 out of 10 or 0 out of 15. You have done things in your career. And how do I know that? Because in a different domain, I'm doing this with my son right now. He's a senior in college and he's graduating. And he said the same thing to me. He's like, Dad, I don't have any relevant skills, right? Who's going to hire me? And I went and said, okay, son, what is the job you would like to get? And he told me, and I said, what are those skills? And I said, so you're telling me you've never was a team lead. In your classes, you never had a class project where you're team lead. He was like, oh, no, I was. I'm like, you got that skill. And you've never had to present to the professor. I did. So you have presentations. And we went through it, and he didn't realize he had a lot more of the pieces. He just wasn't looking at it correctly because there was so much other stone around it, right? So many other things. He had to chip that away. So I can guarantee whoever you are that's listening to this, wherever you are in your journey, that you absolutely have Ciso skills. You just have to identify them and you have to draw them out. Now, many people have trouble seeing within, right? They have trouble really identifying and doing that for themselves. So here's an exercise that I recommend you do. Create an artificial person. You can even name that person Sally, Bob, Mary, Joe, whatever you want, name it. There's this fictitious, amazing Ciso. Imagine this person. But based on your experience and people you've talked to and everything else, wherever you're at now, imagine this amazing, perfect Ciso. Create their resume for this fictitious person. What would their resume look like? If we're creating this, and once again, just no limit thinking here. If you're creating the ultimate Ciso and you're putting together their resume, once again, totally fictitious, create it. What skills would they have? What jobs would they have? Where would they have worked? What would they have done? And create that ultimate Ciso resume. Now, in a perfect ideal world, I'd have you do that. So if you really want to do this correctly, pause the video and do that. Then come back and listen. Because I'm not in person, I have to give you all the steps now. Hearing the next steps sometimes will cause you to limit your creativity. So that's why in a perfect ideal world, hit pause and go do that exercise. But I trust that you can separate out the two. Once you've created that ultimate, yes, fictitious, you're just making up the perfect ideal Ciso. Once you do that, print it out. Then take a highlighter and go through and maybe do this with a colleague or somebody who knows you really, really well, and take each one of the items and say, do I have any of those qualities? And once again, you're not lying. I don't want you to falsify. But in your career, have you ever done that skill? Maybe not full time, but have you ever done that skill set? And start highlighting it. And what you'll find if you do this correctly is probably at least 60, maybe 70, some of you it might be 90 or 95% of what's on that initial fictitious resume that you created of the ultimate Ciso, you actually have. You actually have those skills. You've actually done that job. You have that. So now what you do is you now take that fictitious one, everything that's not highlighted, remove. Everything that is highlighted, leave. And then go in and align that with your different jobs, different experience, and add anything additional that's related to leadership, Ciso, and strategy. And boom, you have your resume or CV. That's how you have to think about it. The problem is most people take their world-class security engineer resume and they try to convert it over. Well, let's face it. If you take something that's stinky, now I'm not saying it's stinky and bad for world-class security engineer, if that's what you want to get a job as. But a world-class security engineer is a terrible, stinky resume for somebody who wants to be a Ciso. So if you try to rework something that's not aligned, there's still going to be misalignment. What I'd rather you do is start from scratch, because then you're creating a world-class CISO resume the way you're supposed to do it. And then once again, it's easy. Put it out there. But Eric, I'm not ready for a job. Who cares? You don't have to take it. So you put your CV out there and you get, out of 20 jobs you applied for, you get 0 reply. You know that's not a good resume. So you tune it, tweak it, modify it, and apply to some more. Then you get it to the point where you're getting an 80% response rate. When they call you back, you don't have to say yes. You don't have to take the interview, right? But you're just doing the validation. You're no negative by doing this. There's no harm by putting that out there. But now what you're doing is you're building that first step. You're getting that resume world class. Then my suggestion is, hey, you got an interview. Why not take it? That's the best way to hone your interview skills. I had somebody go, Eric, I need to read books. Reading books are great, but reading books are never going to replace actually doing it, actually taking action. So read the books, but why not take the interview and then see how it goes? And once again, if you don't get follow-on interviews or you don't get job offers, you know your interview skills need to be worked on, right? And you work on that. So now we're systematically working through that. Then let's say with one of these, I know you're not looking, right? We're still not looking. That's okay, right? Because you're focused on 6 months, right? We're not looking. Right? You know where I'm going. So you get an offer. Now, what if you got a crazy offer? Like what would be your price? I always love this where if people go, Eric, I always go in and say, how much would you sell your house for? And they said, our house isn't for sale. I said, really? I said, if somebody knocked on your door right now and offered you $20 million for your home, it wouldn't be for sale? And they go, oh, for that amount it would be. So it is for sale, right? It has to be a large amount. So if you're not looking for that job and they happen to give you an offer, give a crazy counter. I mean, just give something that's not ridiculous. Don't ask for 20 million, right? But if you're making $200K today, what would it take to leave? Well, if they offered me 300, great. So just counter back at 300. And worst case they can say is no, and no harm, no foul. Doing a counter and having them decide it's not a good fit, that doesn't hurt you, right? It doesn't hurt you at all, but what you're building that skill set. And here's the real reason why I'm pushing it. And this is ultimately what I tell all my coaching clients. If you are currently in a world-class security engineer position, and that's what you do for 10, 12 plus hours a day, you are reinforcing those technical skills because that's what you're doing. That's what you're getting paid for. So the longer you stay in that job, the more it's going to reinforce those bad technical habits that make you world-class security engineer, and the harder it is to be a CISO. If you're reading business books for an hour a night and you're building out the mindset of strategy, or you're going through my CISO certification and spending an hour a night, great. And then what do you do the next day? You spend 10 to 12 hours negating what you learned because you're doing the opposite of what a CISO would do, being a world-class security engineer. Right? They're different skill sets. They're different focus areas. So the longer you continue in the world-class security engineer, the harder, not impossible, the harder it's going to be to switch to the world-class CISO. So that's why I'm pushing that so hard. So just remember as we start to wrap up, there is a CISO within you. You need to be Michelangelo the sculptor and show it to the world. First thing you need to start with is getting that resume or CV to be world-class CISO. Do those exercises, put it together. When you're getting to an 80% callback rate on it where people want you to interview, then great, you got that box checked. You know how to get CISO interviews. Then start taking those interviews and learn how to optimize. Then when you're getting a 70 or 80% offer rate on those, great. Now you know how to interview and get a job offer. Then you just have to decide what job you want and how much you want to get paid and be persistent in getting it. So that's the process. It's great to have a plan, but I just urge you, if you're one of those folks that are saying 6 or 9 or 12 months you're going to do it, why that number? Why not 1 month? Why not 3 months? Why not 6 months? Don't make your destiny wait. Engage today, and remember, there is a world-class Ciso within you.